Imagine a world where the weather doesn't just change, it fights back. A world where nature's fury isn't measured in storms or floods, but in an ice age that arrives overnight. Welcome to The Day After Tomorrow, a disaster film that takes climate change to a terrifying extreme. So buckle up as we dive into the chilling chaos, from the very first ominous warning to the breathtaking climax. Our story begins in the vast, icy wilderness of Antarctica. Paleoclimatologist Jack Hall and his team are on a research mission, drilling deep into the ice. Suddenly, the ground trembles beneath them. A massive ice shelf the size of Rhode Island breaks away and crashes into the ocean. It's a wake-up call from the planet itself, but no one realizes just how dire things are. Yet. Jack, stunned by what he's witnessing, quickly collects samples and contacts his colleagues. He knows the melting of this glacier could have catastrophic consequences, but how soon will the world feel the impact? Cut to a United Nations climate conference, where Jack warns world leaders about the dangers of climate change. He presents his research, outlining a grim future where global warming disrupts ocean currents and triggers extreme weather events. But his concerns fall on deaf ears. The vice president, skeptical and dismissive, argues that economic stability takes priority over theoretical climate concerns. Jack, frustrated, returns to his seat, knowing that time is running out. Meanwhile, across the world, nature begins to sound its own warning. Snow falls in New Delhi, a place where cold weather is unheard of. Giant hailstones the size of baseballs pummel Tokyo, smashing windows and crushing cars. In Scotland, temperatures plummet without explanation, freezing lakes and rivers within minutes. Something is very, very wrong, and the planet is just getting started. In New York City, Jack's teenage son, Sam, arrives for an academic competition with his friends Brian and Laura. As they settle into their hotel, a strange chill fills the air. The news reports unusual storms forming at an alarming rate, but no one expects what's coming. The skies darken, the winds howl, and then an unrelenting downpour. Within hours, the rain turns to ice, coating the city streets in a slick, treacherous glaze. As Sam and his friends explore the city, the temperature continues to drop. People rush indoors, bewildered by the unseasonal cold. Traffic slows, car engines struggle against the freezing conditions, and in the distance, a sense of unease creeps through the air. The storm is only just beginning. Back at NASA and the National Weather Service, scientists are in a frenzy. Satellite images show something unprecedented. 3 massive superstorms, each covering an entire continent, spinning with hurricane-like force. Meteorologists scramble to make sense of the data, but the terrifying truth becomes clear. This isn't just another storm. This is the beginning of a new ice age, and it's coming fast. As the storm intensifies, Jack's worst fears come true. Ocean currents are collapsing, disrupting the natural balance of the Earth's climate. The storms are feeding off the rapid cooling, creating an unstoppable force of destruction. He races to warn government officials, but bureaucracy slows the response. Meanwhile, the world spirals into chaos. Los Angeles is the first to fall. Tornadoes rip through the city, tearing apart buildings and flipping cars like toys. News helicopters capture the devastation as skyscrapers crumble one by one. People scream, running for cover, but there's nowhere to hide. Back in New York, things go from bad to worse. The Hudson River, churned by the storm, begins to rise. Floodwaters breach the streets, sweeping away everything in their path. Sam and his friends rush to find shelter, narrowly escaping the oncoming surge. They take refuge inside the public library along with dozens of other stranded people. As they watch from the windows, a monstrous tsunami engulfs lower Manhattan, swallowing entire city blocks. The world as they know it is gone. Meanwhile, Jack realizes that his son is directly in the storm's path. With no time to waste, he sets out on a perilous journey from Washington, D.C. to New York, braving sub-zero temperatures and impossible conditions. The storm has already claimed countless lives, and if Jack doesn't make it in time, Sam and his friends may not survive. Alongside his colleagues Jason and Frank, Jack trudges through the frozen wasteland, battling ice storms and collapsing roads. Every mile is a struggle, every step a fight against nature's fury. Back at the library, survival becomes a battle of wits. The group gathers books to burn for warmth, rationing food, and keeping hope alive. Outside, temperatures drop so low that even stepping outside for a few seconds could be deadly. When one of their group, an elderly man, falls ill, Sam and Brian make a dangerous trip outside to find medicine. They barely make it back alive, narrowly escaping frozen death. But just as things start to look bleak, they discover a lifeline. A working radio transmitting rescue updates. Hope flickers, but so does the storm's deadly grip. Jack and his team push forward against impossible odds. Frozen landscapes stretch endlessly, and every step is a fight against exhaustion and the elements. As they near New York, disaster strikes. Frank falls through a glass ceiling of a frozen mall, sacrificing himself to save the others. Devastated but determined, Jack and Jason continue onward. Meanwhile, inside the library, the storm reaches its peak, threatening to freeze the remaining survivors where they stand. Some decide to leave despite Sam's warnings, only to meet a grim fate. But just when all seems lost, Jack finally reaches New York. He finds the library, bursts inside, and calls out for his son. Against all odds, Sam and the remaining survivors have made it. As the storm finally begins to subside, rescue helicopters arrive. The survivors are airlifted to safety, witnessing a world that has been forever changed. From space, the planet is now covered in ice. But amidst the devastation, humanity has learned a powerful lesson, one that should not be ignored. And that's today's recap. A heart-pounding disaster film that blends science, survival, and suspense. While the movie takes creative liberties with the science, its message is clear. Climate change is not a distant threat. It's happening, and if we ignore it, we may not be prepared for what comes next. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more epic movie recaps.